Today, I'd like to reach out to the Star Iowa community, to our staff, to our parents, and to our students to talk a little bit about the events of last week. You know, normally this time of the year, I'm doing a video to tell you about the great things going on in Anderson School District 3, and there are great things going on in Anderson 3. I usually tell you about the things we've done in the summer and the things that we have coming up. And we have some great things coming up. And so I do encourage you to tune into an interview I did with the Anderson Observer last week, and we'll actually post it on our website so that you can see it. And it will tell you about those great things through that interview. But today I want to talk a little bit about the personnel situation that happened last week in our district. Events like this are really heartbreaking on so many accounts, and it's a situation where you can't always talk about all the information you're dealing with, but I do want you to know that we did everything we could and are still doing everything we can to help in this situation. And so let me give you just a little bit of background to when it came to our attention. I was contacted by the Sheriff's Department last week to ask for a personnel file, which I made readily available to them the next morning when they came down, and then gave them access to anything that they wanted to see. This is the first time I or any of our staff have become aware that there was a problem with a teacher. And once we became aware of it, we acted quickly to make sure they had what they needed. And I want to stress to you that student safety and well-being is always priority, top priority in Anderson School District 3. I mean, that's why we do what we do. That's why we put our career in education, is because we love children and we want to give them the best atmosphere to learn in, and we want you to feel like your children are safe here. And we talk a lot about the things that we put in place to give safety and to keep intruders out, but I realized after thinking about this situation that I don't really tell you very often what we do to vet our employees or to make sure that the people we're putting in front of your children are high qualities. So I want to take a few minutes this morning to kind of talk in general about that process, and also many of those things applied in this situation, even though I can't talk about the specifics. But as far as certified staff goes, that vetting process first starts with the state. Any teacher that applies for certification has to go through an extensive background check and fingerprinting process to even get a certificate. And once they get a certificate and they're in our hiring pool, then our principals or administrative staff will reach out and get direct recommendations on those candidates. We talk to the district they came from, or if they're new teachers, we talk to the supervising teacher when they went through their clinical experiences to get some background information there. If they're already certified teacher coming to us from another district, we will call the prior employee to get information. We also can look online at their teaching certificate and see if there's been any disciplinary actions or anything that shows up there. We can look at their evaluation history, and all of that gives us a picture of what that employee looks like. And then when we get ready to hire them or offer them a contract, we will run a SLED background check, and we actually do that on all certified and non-certified staff. That we run that SLED check, and if there's anything on that check, 99% of the time they won't be hired. There are a few exceptions to that, but I can tell you in this particular case, there was a clean background check. We also, on all of our staff, run them through the National Sex Offenders Registry, which if anything shows up on that registry for anybody, they do not get hired in a school district, especially in Anderson School District 3. So that's kind of the general process of how we vet employees to make sure that anybody coming in contact with your child has been put through a thorough process that we feel like we've done the best we could to make sure of the quality of the employee that we put in the classroom and really in our buildings, because everybody comes in contact with your child. I've also had some people ask me in the past week exactly what does administrative leave mean? And I think that's a good question. We use that term in educational settings a lot. And so let me explain that process to you. For a certified staff member, if they're in their first 2 years of working, they have no due process rights, which means if there's a situation where we want to immediately terminate them, they have very little due process. Once that teacher, that certified employee, gets to a continuing contract level, we have to make sure we follow everything specifically to make sure we're treating them right and giving them their due process, which is our nation is built on due process and everybody's rights being considered. And so at any time, if we feel like an employee does not need to be around your child because of something that's happened, we will put them on administrative leave. And what that means is they're not in the building, they're not to be in the building or anywhere on district property. And during work hours, they're supposed to be available to us. So if we need to call them and ask them a question or we need to go further with the situation, we can. And so the first step to administrative leave for an employee who's being questioned is simply to make sure they're away from children. Now, in this process last week, school's not in session. Our teachers are not really on contract right now, but we follow that step just to make sure that they know they're not supposed to be in any of our properties or on any of our properties. And then during that administrative leave time, it gives us time to look further into the investigation and to take our next steps. So if you hear that term, just know that it's put in place to protect us, to protect every employee, to protect the district, and to protect your child, because the key thing it's doing is making sure there's no reason that employee's in our building and that we have time to take the next steps. Another thing that happens in especially situations like last week's situation is the State Board of Education immediately will subpoena the district and ask for any information from the sheriff's report, from our office, whatever, on the case, because in cases like this, the state board is going to act. And I think that's a good safeguard put in place years ago, and this is starting my 37th year in education. I've been in the district office 18 years working with personnel. There was a time that the state board depended on school districts to send that information. But what they found is that not all school districts did. And so now in situations, if they see a crime report or see something posted online, they will immediately subpoena you for any information you can have. And I will tell you that process has already started. It's already been sent. There again, as soon as we found out about a concern with a teacher, we made everything available. In this specific situation, no one in my office has been made aware of any concerns with this employee. And so I say that simply to say to you as parents, community members, etc., teachers, if you have a concern with something that you see in a school building or on any of our campuses or our events, please reach out to the administration or reach out to me or someone in our office, because there again, children are our highest priority. And to think that something happens that negatively impacts a child under our watch is heartbreaking to me, and it's not acceptable. And so please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you see something. If you see something, say something. The most direct line typically is to an administrator in a building, but if you're not getting satisfaction there, or if you feel like there's a better line just coming directly to me, or to Dr. Nixon, or to Mrs. Burton in our office, please reach out and let us know, because we're in this together, and working together we can provide the best climate for your child. One other thing I want to mention to you is that, and I talked extensively about this in my interview with Greg Wilson last week for The Observer, the district has really put into place this summer an integrated counseling program. We had a district office spot that was vacated last year, and instead of hiring directly for that spot, we took those funds and hired a district mental health counselor that works directly for us. Now we have had and still have mental health counselors that come in through the Department of Mental Health and through the Anderson County Board, and they will continue. But what that's done for us is given us a dedicated employee who works directly for us, and who is really not only integrating the program, but we can use her in the situations like this and many others without having to go through very much red tape or paperwork to get the process started. So when I put out a statement last week saying we have mental health counselors available, we truly do. And if you feel you need that service for this situation or any other situation, again, I encourage you to, your best route is if your child is in a building is to email that building principal. But there again, you can email someone in our office. And in this specific situation, if you feel like your child needs to talk to someone, I've made sure that Ms. Upton is in the district today and tomorrow. We are still working with people off contract, but we can make those services available and will make those services available. So please reach out, and we want to work together to process this and also to make sure that we continue to have a strong, viable district, because Anderson 3 is a great place for teachers and staff to work. It's a great place for your children to come to school. And so it's just unfortunate that events like this happen, even though we've done our best to prevent it. But I am thankful for the quick work of the Sheriff's Department when they received information about this. And I'm thankful to all of you who have supported us and continue to support us, because together we will continually get better. But at the end of the day, we want to take care of children, because that's why we're here. So please, if you have any questions for me or anyone on our staff, please reach out. That's what we're here for. I like direct communication. I'll answer an email anytime, but I prefer to sit down and talk, because I think that's where the best conversations happen. So let's work through this together. Let's continue to move forward. I do encourage you to take the time to watch the interview that I did earlier that talks about the great things that we have accomplished and will continue to accomplish. But so look for that, and we're going to have a great 2024-25. And so let's just work together to continue the great things. Have a great day.